LeBron James, the Lakers. It is always a great day when you can talk about the Lakers. But get this. They did have an impressive run coming up short, but now the questions surround the upcoming team and their roster. Anthony Davis, superstar, up for an extension in August. Reports say LA is committed to keeping Austin Reeves as well. Remember, Austin Reeves had that breakout playoff run. General Manager Rob Pelinka said, quote, "We want to try our hardest to keep the core of our guys together." On surface value, I loved the sound of that on surface. But here is why when I dove beneath the surface, I hated it. If you finish worse than first and you run back that worse than first that you finished, what you expect the following season? The Lakers did not finish second best in the NBA. That was the Miami Heat. The Lakers finished at best fourth in the NBA, but remember, they lost 0-4 to the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. So if you want to run it back and you already finished fourth, then it makes no sense for me running it back. I'm very frustrated with the fact of LeBron James, one of the greatest players we have ever seen in any sport. If you were just going to sit here and play, but not really play as if you're trying to compete for championships, then what are you actually doing? Because as it stands right now, and if you at home recall, after the Lakers lost to the Nuggets, LeBron and AD said they talked to each other for a long time in the locker room. And they talked about the fact that they just didn't have enough. Everything that the Lakers had, the Nuggets had in excess. Bench, Nuggets was deeper. Best player, Nuggets was better. Second best player, Nuggets was better. Coach, Nuggets was better. Everything that the Lakers had, the Nuggets had that and more. So how can you run it back, Joy, expecting to be better if you're running back a team that was worse than the championship team, and the championship team is basically bringing back the same championship team? Do you think the Lakers should be content running it back?
I think they should be content running it back with their core. I don't think he said we were not going to try and improve in any other way.
But marginally.
Marginally, sure. Now, you could argue because they got swept, they need more than margin. But who? Where? It's not like there's like some shop that they're not willing to go into that has a bunch of superstars that are waiting to be picked up. That's not how this works. So what are you going to give up? Can you give anything up?
Yeah.
Who can you pay? So is a little bit of this saying that we're running back the core a little bit of morale rather than being the obvious that they don't have a choice but to run it back. I don't hate the idea of them running it back with the core because I think that their core was good enough to get them to the Western Conference Finals. Now, has Phoenix greatly improved with the addition of Bradley Beal? I think so, but they still have their roster to fill out. We don't know how that will play out. Obviously, things look great on paper. That's why we play the games. But outside of Phoenix, has the rest of the West gotten significantly better? I mean, they've made some moves. I don't know about significantly better. You're trying to take down the Nuggets. You played against the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. If you become marginally better, there's a lot of things that can happen throughout the season. So I think part of it is they don't really have a choice but to run it back. But also, I don't hate the idea of marginally improving what you have.
2-5, Lakers are one of your teams. Where do you stand on all this?
They're one of my teams.
I mean, you claim LeBron James.
I think he's a great player. I don't claim the Lakers.
You don't claim LeBron James?
No, I love LeBron as a great player, but no, I don't. I don't do
Answer
that.
the question,
I don't
Sadie.
jump
The
on both
Warriors
sides.
stand.
What about the ground?
Anyway,
Ground.
the ground is the ground. I would say this. I like that idea of running it back. I think with Reeves and Hachimura, you got to bring them guys back. And then if you want to add some pieces or move some pieces with D'Lo, right? I think D'Lo's asking for a big number. I think you can get another guard because I think that he kind of got missing deep in the playoffs. He did.
Exactly
so
right.
You could move that around. Shooter, I'm not sure what they're going to do with him. You can move that around. I think that the core pieces, you already have AD, you already have LeBron. I think Hachimura, I think Reeves, you get them, you lock them in because people want them. Like, I feel like whatever the Lakers offer Reeves, I think that everybody's going to try to match that. A lot of teams want him. He's a young player that's going to emerge to a star. So as far as locking in the core, I would add a couple more pieces, but I like that move. I think that they could be – I think they can see them against the Western Conference Finals again next year, right? Against Nuggets. I can see them winning that game with different pieces. I can see that.
Here's my issue, Slick. I can't see that. Like, to me, just because you're close does not mean you actually were contending. I remember the Trailblazers. I think it was 2018. Slick, correct me if I'm wrong. NBA historians, I know on Twitter, y'all will correct me. They faced the Warriors, Western Conference Finals. They either got beat 4-0, 4-1. They were there. The Trailblazers were there. They were in the Western Conference Finals, but they weren't really there. I remember, Slick, I used to throw discus in high school. I threw discus in high school. I remember one meet, I threw 156 feet, and I lost by 52 feet because the person who won set the Texas State record. I was there. I got second.
Second best.
But I ain't really get second. I ain't really get close to winning. if the Lakers run it back, I don't see them genuinely contending. Should they be content, or do you think they actually are contending if they run it back?
I'll put it this way. It's their best chance to be a contender because let's not forget that they put that team together at the trade deadline. They made a lot of moves down the stretch, and that continuity and familiarity served the Denver Nuggets very well, right? You still had the core going back to 2020. That was a key part of their success. Also, the Denver Nuggets were very fortunate when it came to injury.
True.
Right? They really didn't have anybody. They'd paid their dues when it came to injury the previous couple seasons. So this was their chance to be healthy. I do think that the competition in the West is going to be stiffer. I do think that the Memphis Grizzlies, healthy with Marcus Smart instead of Dylan Brooks, is going to be better. They were missing a lot of pieces when they hit the playoffs. I think the Golden State Warriors, a case can be made. They will be more formidable than they were a year ago. The Sacramento Kings are only going to get better, right? But fact of the matter is, and Joyce says it, like, we don't know all of the things that are going to happen over the course of a season. And it really comes down to one of two choices for me with the Lakers. You're either going to run it back with this group and see if you can get one more with LeBron and AD, or you go to the heart of this team and you tear it apart and you go in another direction. I don't know that there's any other option because truth is, Anthony Davis is still the most valuable piece you have to move and change this team dramatically. So if you think you can get better by moving Anthony Davis, then I'm listening. But I haven't heard or seen anything that would lead me to believe that.
Joy, you made a lot of good points about the core. But if we look at the core of the Lakers, Shady, if you look at the core of the Lakers, wouldn't you say, even you at home, the Lakers have the fourth best core in the West? If you're just talking cores, the Denver Nuggets core to me is better than the Lakers core. Joker, Jamal Murray, and if you want to add Gordon, if you want to add MPJ, if you want to add KCP, whoever else you want to add to that core, even if you just take two. The Suns core, Beal, Book, KD. I think that's better than the core of the Lakers. The Warriors core of Clay, Dre, Wiggs, and Steph. I think that core is better than the Lakers. The Lakers beat the Warriors not just because of the core. The Lakers beat the Warriors because of Reeves, Walker, D'Lo. It was the extended players that helped the Lakers beat the Warriors. So when you even look at the Lakers keeping the core together, is that core even good enough at its core? Or do they actually have to go find some extension pieces who might not even be out there?
Extension pieces to the core or extension pieces?
To the core.
Who? Like, it's fun to play fantasy basketball, but, like, who are these players? Like, who's better out there, who's available, that can move? And who are you going to move? Are you going to trade Anthony Davis? Like Slick just said, who are you blowing up? Who has value that you could send away from the core that would bring you replacement pieces that are significantly better? And I'm glad you brought up the rest of the roster because, to me, that's really the question. I think that a big part of the Lakers' struggles in the Nuggets series wasn't necessarily their core. Though you have to have a big part of what happened with the Heat was those deeper players did not show up when they needed them to. The rest of your roster is very important. Why are people not sure about the Suns? Well, because we know who the core of the Suns is, but we don't know who the rest of the roster is. Those guys matter, particularly when you get late into the season. So I hear what you're saying about those other cores being better, and they probably are. But what is the replacement to the core? Who do you have to move? We can't just, like, go shop for a new coat. Like, you have to make trades. You have to acquire people. There's only so many players in the NBA that are at that level. So are these other teams willing to blow up their cores to send you these players? Like, what are the suggestions for that?
Shady, would you ever consider a sign and trade? Austin Reeves, Achimura, would you ever consider maybe, yes, they are nice players, but maybe we could try to get nicer players?
I like them. I like them too, for sure. I mean, I would try to move guys like Vanderbilt. I think he has some type of value. You know, lanky, long, plays good defense. I talked about Schroeder. I talked about D'Lo. Like, you have some type of pieces.
Right.
And then you talked about even the Nuggets. They're a real team that has big bond, right? Chemistry was there. You could obviously see that. But now when you talk about the deep roster, like, all them players have to do well too, and they have to sign them. Like Bruce Brown, right? He wants some money. He opted out, so he was part of their best bench player, right? So as much as you talk about, you know, the Lakers, the Nuggets, every team has this problem. You have to sign more of your bench players or your role players, and if you don't have that, I mean, is it more of a guaranteed win like you talking about? So we got to wait and see.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.